Hey, here we go again. I am the late bloomer. This is the Heart to Heart Journey to Love podcast, and I have my co host, Harlan Brown, and we are back. We are back.
We back with it again. I'm
Yeah,
ready. I'm ready.
Brown sister, because since we dropped that knowledge on them last time, we dropped something that they can take to get started with their relationship. Hopefully, the audience took what we took, what we had to say to heart and went
Yes.
back to really start practicing and doing it because it's very important of what we do here. We take this very seriously.
Yes. Yes.
So
Yes. Yes.
yeah, so we want to we want to jump right into it. Now, for those who weren't here last week, we went into a few things. We're starting a new series. I got a new co-host. Her name is Harlan Brown. Say hi again to the
Hi,
audience.
everybody. Nice to be here. It's great to be here. I'm loving the platform so far, loving the topics. So,
We
yeah.
got a jam-packed day, and all we're gonna do is extend from what we did last week. So, without further ado, there I've come up with a concept, or God has allowed me to help come up with a concept to impart to you guys about relationships and having that heart to heart with you so that you can get on the path, the journey to unconditional love. It is so important to one, not only have love in your life, but experience what unconditional love is. And that's why we are here to help you with that. So without further ado, in my series, I got four things. I got the mind, the heart, the body, and the soul. And last week we talked about the mind. We talked about mind your business. What you thought
Right.
about that, Harlem Brown? We talked
Well,
about
that,
mind
that,
your
that,
business.
that was a lot to unpack. And I hope that everybody took that to heart and just ran with that one because it was something that really needed to penetrate and sit with you for a minute.
Absolutely, absolutely. And some of the key points that came out of that Harlem Brown was this. The first thing was if you don't control your mind, someone else will.
Right.
That's crazy. And if you don't think about that, and if you didn't get it and it went over your head, just think about it. I'm gonna say it one more time. If you don't control your mind, somebody else will.
Yes.
So that's why this is so important. That's why we want to say mind your business, where you start taking control of your own mind. Because here's the other piece to it. If you don't, and this is, and if you want to take reference for it, it's Romans 12:2. And that's do not copy the behavior of the world, but let God transform you into a new person. Let God transform you into a new person. That's very key by changing the way you think.
Yes.
That's why that's why I put the mind as the number one thing that we need to work on before we even do anything else to get on that path of journey to unconditional love. So that was a key scripture. The other scripture that I want to share with you guys and key saying is be careful what you think because your thoughts control your life. I don't think they got that one, Harlem Brown. You want to say that one for me? Because maybe
I
they hear
want
from you better.
I want you to say that again slowly though, because
Just say
I
so.
feel like the bass in your throat gonna take it to it's gonna take it there.
But
Go and do it.
it's you
Do it
because
again.
it's you that's gonna take it over there because they looking more at you than they looking at me. I already know that. And you got your pink, you rocking your pink today. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got
So
my little pink
come
on
on,
today.
just say it to the audience for them. Give them Proverbs 4:23 for me.
Sure. Be careful what you think because your thoughts control your life.
You convinced me. You convinced me. You convinced me. But no, although we have some fun here, we're very serious about what we're saying. And
Yes,
and if you could say it one more time, Harlan Brown, so that the audience can really understand what I'm trying to get at today.
absolutely. Be careful and be careful what you think because your thoughts control your life.
Right.
What you think controls how you act and what you do. And it changes the trajectory of your life if you think wrong.
And it's not about thinking wrong or thinking right. It's about just the things that you think.
Right.
The things that you think controls your life.
Mm-hmm.
That is deep. So that's why I said, let's mind your business and let's control our minds so that we can be ready and be prepared for that journey to unconditional love. And one of the ways that we talked about that was becoming self-aware.
Right.
And how do you become self-aware? You sit in the mirror. Hopefully, the audience that was here last week, hopefully they sat in the mirror, they assessed themselves, and they
Hmm.
wanted to be honest with themselves, truthful with themselves on who they are,
Right.
so that
Just
they can start
practicing
thinking about.
that.
You said
Just
what now?
practicing that self-reflection. Just constantly practicing self-reflection. And just journaling your thoughts sometimes helps as well. I mean, I just always add journaling your thoughts because sometimes that helps as well. Because as you're writing, your mind starts dumping out other things that really wasn't in the forefront of your thought pattern.
Yeah.
So I hope everybody took the time to do that and really reflect on that and really be honest and authentic about who you are. Because if you can't be true to you, who could you be true to?
And if you could, but just think about this. That's the basis of everything. If you can't be true to you, what makes you think that you're going to get over on somebody else in a relationship if they don't know the true you?
Right.
So if
Right.
you really want to be a part of a relationship, if you really want to have that journey to unconditional love, because unconditional love, I just hope that everyone in their lifetime experiences unconditional love.
Yes.
And you probably have in a way. Those who have kids have expressed that unconditional love. When you see them, they can't talk, they can't do anything. That's unconditional love because you got to care for them every day,
Right.
every day until they become, prepared for life. And that's you give them unconditional love. Maybe through your grandparents, maybe through your spouse, maybe through something. Maybe some people have experienced unconditional love, but if you
Hmm.
haven't, it's the ultimate thing that you can ask for from your partner, from yourself, from God. And I should say from God, from yourself,
From
and
yourself.
then from your partner, in
Yes.
that order.
Right.
Because if you don't take care of yourself and if you're not good with yourself, you can't be good with anybody else. You
Right.
can mask it for so long, but somebody gonna figure it out that you're not even being who you are.
Right.
So I want to just extend this conversation the way we're going. We became self-aware. We thought about who we are. We sat down, we assessed ourselves, and we said, "Hey, I don't like these things that's going on. Here's the things I like about myself. I not like I love about myself, and here are the things that I do not love about myself." So hopefully y'all took those lists and started working on those lists. I gave an example of just for me. I used to tear people down. I used to crush their dreams and didn't know I was crushing their dreams because that's just the way that I thought. I was like, they would come to me, like I said, hey, and when I use the example, I want to fly planes. I'm like, why you want to fly planes? You know, like what? That's crazy. So I crushed somebody's dream and I didn't even know it. So I had to look in the mirror and say, stop crushing people's dreams. Just be happy for them. Do the
Right.
thing. So I had to put the work in to do it. And again, this is going to take work. Anything that comes easy, be careful of.
Right. Right.
Except I'll say the love of God. If you love God, that's easy. And sometimes that's hard because the things that happen in your life. But that's why I said anything that comes easy. Think about his life. He just
Hmm.
you see everything he had to go through wasn't easy for him, and he saved the world.
Right.
So if you want to save yourself and be in a marriage and be in a relationship, be in a healthy relationship, be in the best relationship that you can be in. And again, this is controlling you, controlling your mind, because you can't control somebody else. But
Right.
if you don't control your mind, somebody else will control your mind.
Exactly.
And that's one of the other points that we brought out in this thing. So we're gonna move on to the next thing. And you think they're ready for the next thing, Vaughn Brown?
I I think if they started the work, absolutely they're ready for the next thing.
No. And those who didn't start the work, if you understand in what we're saying, and I know I went by fast because I really got a lot of stuff to go over, and I want to make sure that we get it into this podcast, just not to hold you long. Just really take a listen to what we're saying about everything, and when it comes to your mind. So
Right.
the first thing was becoming self-aware.
Mhm.
What's that second thing?
And the
You know,
second thing
what's that second thing? What's the second?
understanding what you want.
Understanding what you want. What? You trying to
Uh-huh.
tell me people don't already know what they want?
I feel like people know what they should want, but what do you really want,
What
right?
you,
Not what you
you
should,
trying to tell
not
me I
what you
shouldn't
should
be?
or what you want. It's not a should, it's what you want,
It's
right?
what you want.
Right.
Man, that's packed. I told you I didn't come to play this year. Understand what you want.
Right. So when I
As you
say
thinking and becoming
should,
self-aware of yourself,
yeah,
understand what you want. Because a lot of times you think you might want it. You already know. Big button and smile, baby. Big button and smile. But LL came and told us, can't trust the big button and smile, baby. But watch out. You gotta watch. And yeah, I'm dating myself. Okay, yeah, I'm back. Yeah, that's big. Look, you see the New
that
York
was that
Yankees.
was
You
that
see
was
the
that was Biv
irony
DeVoe who
memes
said,
going
but you
on. This is
can't
what we
trust a
do.
big button to smile
Yeah,
because that
you know what
girl
I
is
mean?
poison.
You know what I'm saying? That's for the BBD. I forgot
Yeah,
they did the same thing. Shout out to Belle Biv DeVoe. You know, but I'm telling you, you might think you know what you want, but until you actually sit down and assess who you are, you can't understand and know what you want.
exactly. So you have to separate your true desires of what you want from external influences and expectations of others, right? So we are concentrating on us right now. We want to express what we want, like what our true desires are. Like dig deep into your desires and what you want, and what do you want to see unfold in your life. I think that's huge. I
Yeah,
think that's really huge.
yeah. And it's not a. And again, I don't want you to confuse this. What I want a six-figure guy. I want a
No,
six-figure girl. I
no,
want her to be this. I want him to be this. I want her to do this. I want it to be this way. I want her to have this. No, 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 no. That's not what I mean by
not
that.
at all.
Not that. So what do I mean, Harlan Brown? You know what I mean. You look, you all up in my thoughts today. What's going on? You got because this is so powerful. And
Because it's one of those things that you sit back and people talk about the things that they want and that they desire to have, but a lot of times it's influenced by, oh my goodness, and you gave me that one time to look at. It was about comparison, how people compare things, right? How you live your life in comparison. Like this husband and wife, oh, I want to be just like them, but we don't really know that what goes on behind closed doors. We just know the representatives that come out and talk to us, right? And we know the people that we pass in church, like, hey, oh, they
yeah,
so nice,
yeah,
oh, she's
yeah,
sweet. But
yeah,
I might catch her in the parking lot and she'll be like, why are you all up in my parking
yeah,
space?
yeah.
Right?
I mean, I listen.
So it is definitely one of those things where we have to not do comparisons. We have to find out who we are. And that's why those steps were so deep to me on the last show, that we take the time and we sit in our desires, we sit in what we want,
Yeah,
and we make sure that they align with where we're going in our next
yeah.
steps.
Let me just ask if this happened to you, because this happened to me. Wow, this not a lot or whatever, but this happened to me one time. I wanted somebody so bad, just I knew I needed that, I wanted that person, and when I got that person, I was like, oh no,
Mhm.
I really wanted this. Man, this like, oh my God, it was horrible. You know what I'm saying? But that's what I mean by keep it on you.
Right.
Know what you want, not again externally. Well, it could be externally, and that's with all that, but let it have some substance. Keep it on you, knowing that, listen, it's the person that you choose is how you want to live your life, because
Right.
that's the person you become one with. That's the person that you know that is going to help dictate where you go in your life.
Right.
So that's why I say, if you understanding who you are and becoming self-aware and understanding you are, then you can understand what you want. Everything will start falling in place. You know what I'm saying? Because it used to be, okay, yeah, you wanted that. She got to be beautiful. She got to have this size, this curves. He got to have this type of muscles. He got to be this tall, be whatever. But you find out that there's no substance there, and that's not who you are, because you assess yourself and say, I'm a person more of superficial things. I need this, and this. And that's only when you become self-aware of yourself.
Right.
When you become self-aware, now you can, that's why we had you do that first. Now the second thing is, let's see what you really want.
Yes.
And that's mapping out your life. How do I want my life to look like? Where in what areas in my life that I want it to look like this, and how can I reach that goal?
Right. And I think you start when, like we did with the assessment, start with what makes you happy, right? What do you want more of? How could you fulfill that happiness? How could you make that happiness even bigger than what it is right now, right?
Let me interject this, and the only reason why I
Hmm.
interrupt you because I didn't want to lose this thought. Also understand this, and I know again I'm the late bloomer. I'm all over the place. Y'all gonna see that happiness. You control your happiness.
Right.
Somebody doesn't make you happy.
Right. And
Somebody
please know
doesn't
this
make
is
you
all
happy.
this is
You
all
have
about
to
you.
control your happiness. The happiness comes from you.
Right.
It gets enhanced with somebody else, but the true happiness comes from you because you know who you are. You know
Right.
what makes you think, what makes you tick, what makes you rock, what makes you roll, what makes you do all of that. And on this podcast, we stay positive. And everything that we say is positive, positive, because when you, again, you think, and when you're thinking positive, that's how it controls your life. The way that you think controls your life. So if I'm thinking positive all the time, my life is going to be positive.
Right.
Things are going to be cut. I'm not saying that things ain't going to be done because you can't control what people try to bring into you, but you keep those thoughts in your mind. Your life is positive
Right.
because that's how you're thinking, and this is what we're telling you as far as when it comes to knowing what you want. So you know what you want because you're thinking about it. You know you have a great idea of what you want, and it's not even an idea anymore because you thought it. It's what's controlling your life.
Right. And that's what will become your reality. That's what will become the reality of your life.
And that's the key point that we wanted to make today. I wanted to give some time, and I didn't want to take you all the time, but before we go into anything else, I just wanted to finish this part of mind your business because
Mhm.
this is part of minding your business. You know what
Right.
I mean? Because if you don't mind your business, somebody else will. And that's not, and then you're going to be in the place that you are today. You're going to
Right.
be where you're at now because you let somebody else mind your business and you didn't mind your own business.
Right. And then when it's all said and done and it's over and you're sitting again with yourself, you have to reassess yourself to find yourself again. So
Yes.
don't lose yourself in the process. Never lose yourself in the process. We see that all the time.
Yeah.
And it just brings me to, as you're assessing yourself, identify your core values and make sure that you are sticking to those core values so you don't lose yourself in that, right? Because
Yeah.
sometimes we get connected with people who don't believe what we believe in or don't do who don't have those same core values, and that can skew you because because you send your representative, you want to be with this person, you're understanding that this person may not do this or may not do that, and then it starts to skew who you become, right?
Yeah.
And then it becomes an issue in that in who you in identifying who you are, because now you're losing yourself in some sense.
And
So you
that's why
have to be very knowledgeable and very intent about who you're spending your time with, how you're spending your time, even to what you listen to and what you cultivate, what you get involved in, right? The things that you do. Um, it's all a part of what you're feeding yourself that gives you that influences your mind and your thought pattern of how you do things.
and yeah, we want you to be intentional about it because when you're not intentional about this and you don't take it serious, again, you let your mind wander, somebody else can control your mind. And
Right.
just solidify, you have to, that this is the foundation of yourself. Becoming self-aware, being honest with yourself, knowing who you are, knowing what you want, know what you're not going to tolerate, knowing what you're not, whatever. But again, we're not looking at it from a negative
Outside.
perspective.
Right.
We're looking at it from, I like this. This is who I am. I love the world. I love this. I love this. I love this because it's got to be in your mind.
Right.
Because
This
when you
excites
think
me.
love,
This makes me feel good. I'm naturally gravitated to these kind of things. I'm not, it's all of those things that once you're self-aware, it becomes even more beautiful than you can expect. Like it's
you think they're ready for the next thing? I don't know if they're ready for the next thing, Harlem Brown. I told you,
come on.
we
Come
ain't
on.
come to play this year. I got a
Get
new host. I got a new attitude. I got a new everything. I got a new series that is rocking your world right now because you're thinking about this. You're like, wait a minute. I never thought about starting my relationship with this. Not thought about this. Because if you don't think and change the way that you think, you're not going to have a clean slate going into the new one.
no.
You're not. And I'm
No.
gonna give you an example. So you can look at somebody else, you can look at other couples, you can look at whatever. I know a couple that I thought when you look at it, they were married 40, 50 years. And I'm sitting there like, how did they do it? How did they do it? But when I went to visit, they got separate beds. I was tripping. I was like, wait a minute, huh? They got two twin beds in the same room.
Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. And I got to thinking, like, wait a minute. So people can mask. People can send their representative to say, we got the greatest relationship out there. But behind closed doors,
You don't know.
you don't want to live like that.
No, you don't.
I only brought that up because this is part of the process where being truthful about yourself will allow you to be truthful about the relationship you're in and the relationships you want to have.
Right.
And you can't bring that baggage with you. I know
It's difficult to put those bags down. And I want to really say that because I don't want anybody to think that that's the easy part, right? It's not the easy part at all. Self-assessing is not easy either.
yeah.
But if you take the time to do it, you can get it done. But putting that baggage down, there's going to be so many things that triggers something that you remember that you got to learn how to let go. You just got to let that go because it's not benefiting you at this time in your life. It's not benefiting you at this time in your life.
So, you just segued right into the next thing. Controlling your mind is critical to the healing process.
Yes.
So we
Yes.
we're assessing ourselves. Now, as we're assessing ourselves, we're going through the healing process because
Yes.
you're saying, "Oh my God, I didn't realize I treated people this way. I didn't realize that I was this type of person. I didn't realize I was angry at this. I didn't realize I was bitter at this. I didn't realize this and this and that. All this negative stuff." So
Right.
that's why you got to change the way you think to pour in positive stuff, and that'll help you heal.
Yes.
I don't think they heard that, Harlem Brown.
Look.
Putting that in your mind, positive things in your mind, positive thoughts in your mind about you
Mm,
helps the healing process.
it does. It helps the healing process in so many. So it just it's you have to do this is work that you have to do if you want to be healed. You got to face it. You got to
Yeah.
acknowledge it. All of it. Right? You
Love
have to acknowledge
yourself.
all of it, right? Accept it. Accept
Love yourself.
you. Right.
Love yourself. Love
Love
yourself. Love
yourself
yourself.
unconditionally. And guess what? You can easily love others unconditionally, right?
Because the way that you think
Right.
is
Because
the
you
way
love
that
you when you love yourself unconditionally, you
controls
give
your life.
yourself grace, you love on yourself, you understand that you have shortcomings, you understand
Yes.
all of these things about yourself. So then you are able to offer that to somebody else.
Your thoughts control your mind. Your
Yes,
thoughts
that's it.
control your life. Your life. So, under this healing process, Harlem Brown, because we only got a few minutes left, and I know I hate to start stuff and stop, but we gonna give them a little taste of what we gonna go into for next week.
Okay.
Love yourself. Give yourself grace is the number one thing that you have to do in the
Mhm.
healing process.
Give yourself permission to feel whatever it is that you feel. Give yourself
They
permission
missed
to
it. I think
feel.
we should just end the podcast now because they missed it. They missed it.
They didn't miss it.
They
They
missed it.
got it.
They
They
missed
got
it.
it. No, they
Love
got it.
yourself. Give yourself grace as you're forgiving yourself.
Come on now. You done threw out forgiveness. Now you
Yes,
know.
you have to. Those three things must be in the mind process.
Yes.
They have to be, because if they're not, you're gonna lose.
Seriously. And
You're
forgiveness is
gonna
one of the
you'll
hardest
lose the
things.
battle. You're gonna lose the battle because, again, I gave it to you. What is it? Proverbs 4:23. Go,
Yes.
we'll hit them with the Proverbs 4:23.
Proverbs 4 and 23.
Hit them with the Proverbs 4:23.
Now you
Hit them
know
with
I
them.
done changed my little screen. Hold on. I done
Be
changed it. Here it
careful
is.
what
Be
you think,
careful what you think because
because
your thoughts control your life.
control, and not your mind,
Your
your
life.
life.
Your,
So
this
in your
right
mind,
here controls your life.
life. So
This
if
is
you don't
all your
give
life.
yourself grace, if you don't love yourself, and if you don't forgive yourself, the healing process cannot begin.
Right. Right.
I don't know. They didn't. They not ready today.
No, they ready.
It must be. It
I
must
got
be a
confidence.
holiday or something
I
going
got
on down
confidence
there.
that they ready. Because if they wasn't ready, they wouldn't have came back. Because
Oh, they
because
ready? Okay. So
the
again,
first
the
one gave
healing,
you an assignment. So you gotta if you came plugged in today, you ready to find out what the next steps
the healing process does not begin until you love yourself,
are. Right?
forgive yourself,
Yeah. Come on.
and
Come
give
on.
yourself grace.
Come on.
And
Yes.
give yourself grace. If you don't, those three things are very critical into the healing process. And I know we having fun with it because that's what we do. We want to have fun, but at the same time, we want to make sure that you guys and girls understand what's going on and how to get to that point. Because we want to give you something tangible that you can take home. That you, it's like he was just talking. I ain't getting no tangible. This is tangible. Forgiveness, love, grace begins the healing process.
Right.
Forgiveness, love, and grace begins the healing process. And
Yes.
after you become self aware, after you know what you want, you got to begin to heal. And because it starts with you, forgive yourself, give yourself grace, love yourself. Because if you don't do those three things, it's going to be hard to even start to go somewhere else and get that trajectory of getting to unconditional love. Because
Right.
that's
And
what we,
how
that's what
could
we're
you
going
get
to
in a relationship with anybody if you're unforgiving, if you don't have grace? And like how could you do that? You don't have grace for if you don't have grace for you, you're not gonna have grace for anybody
And
else.
if you can't forgive yourself, how are you going to forgive somebody
Every
else?
right. So there's no forgiveness in there. There's no there's no way to forgive somebody if I'm not forgiving of myself. I can't extend what I don't have in me.
Yeah. So it's always going to trigger something. Always. If you don't let it go, forgive yourself, love yourself, give yourself grace, it's going to trigger something in you. It's going
Mhm.
to trigger something in you. That's why you got to keep that in your mind. You got to put that in your mind because the way that you think controls your
Your
life.
life.
I don't know.
Your whole entire life.
I don't know. The late bloomer. I was gone for a reason. I got this word to give y'all because I was gone for a reason. It's
Your
going for a
whole
reason, and
entire
I'm
life.
doing this because I want to help you guys. I want to see more positive, healthy relationships. I'm tired of going out to the mall and seeing couples arguing, bickering, getting upset, getting angry at themselves because they just angry at the world. They're angry at themselves because they haven't forgiven themselves. They haven't given themselves grace, and they haven't loved themselves. Because you
Right.
can't love somebody else if you don't love yourself.
That's the one thing that I really feel that it's very important for people to really understand. Loving yourself and being patient with yourself and being patient with the process of healing. I'm not saying that you're going to listen to this podcast and then the next time we come on, you have fixed it all because you can't.
Yeah.
It's a process in all of this.
Yeah.
The process in all of this. And it just takes and if you love yourself, you give yourself that grace, you give yourself that process, and you allow yourself to flow. you find yourself free flowing in understanding. And even when you get it wrong, or you make a mistake, or you trip up on something, you know how to give yourself that grace to bounce back and stand back up and get back up and say, you know what, because now I'm identifying what it is that I'm trying to change. I'm identifying the things that are not making me happy anymore, right? So I have to make sure that I'm doing that for me.
Yeah. Wow. A lot of information. I know we gotta go. I hate that we gotta go, but man, again, healing process. Forgive yourself, love yourself, give yourself
Grace.
grace. If you don't do those three things, you can't love somebody else. You can't want to be in a process of being in a relationship because you don't even love yourself. Where do you have love to love somebody else?
Right. When
Where's
you
the
have
love
to,
going to come from when you love somebody else? Now you can love on somebody
oh,
physically,
that's easy.
but
That's the
mentally,
easy part.
where you gonna be? Because once physical is over, what's that, 2 or 3 minutes? For some,
For
yeah, I'm
some,
speaking for me, but no, but and I know again we're making fun of it in a way, so we want to have fun with this because we want you to have fun in this process. Enjoy the journey. I tell people all the time. That's why I call this heart to heart. This podcast, heart to heart journey to unconditional love, because you embrace
right,
the journey,
right.
enjoy the journey, and if you don't do that, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. You got
It's
to do
not.
it. So again, I'm gonna leave you with that. We got to go, Harlem Brown. I'm so sorry. We got to go. But
Okay.
as I
Well,
end all the podcasts, trying to do something will keep you in the same place. But when you, oh my God, what is it? Trying to do something will keep you in the same place. But when you do something,
you're right.
your place is unlimited. No, I'll just mess with you. Trying to do something will keep you in your same place. But when you do something, your places are unlimited. Thank
There
you.
you go.
Again, I am the late bloomer. That is my co host, Harlem Brown, and we'll see you next week.
All right. Bye, y'all.